Okay? Yeah.
I think part of what concerns me is the fact that there isn't disclosure about what's being done with information. When I buy a cell phone, am I being informed that the GIS component of that cell phone is being used when I'm on a freeway to track a freeway speed so that that can be a part of a local traffic report? Am I aware that when I'm using my Ralph's discount card that there's records being made of what I'm buying, etc.? And I guess individually I'm not so worried about those pieces of data, but when it gets all put together and my health insurance company finds out that I was in Las Vegas last week and that I'm buying too much fatty meat and that I canceled my gym membership, and when they start putting all those pieces together, that's what concerns me, and the fact that nobody knows that anybody is collecting that kind of data, or potentially they'll sell it to anybody who will buy it. Okay. So I guess it's a comment to speak to. What's the protection to keep all these different disassociated parts from then creating a pretty robust profile of any one of us and what we're doing with our lives?
Okay, so let's turn that into a question. Is there a way, a mechanism to deal with the integration of data? That we've talked about the individual piece of data. Scott's raised the issue of integration of data, and that's what you guys all do. You integrate data. Now then, who says what you can and can't integrate and sell? Response. Okay, Chad.
I think you need to look more at the legislating what happens when you use this information in a negative way. So in that particular case, is it the fault of the companies that are collecting this information? No, I don't think so. And I think that you'd be naive to think that all these pieces of electronics are not collecting information. I think what you need to do is the legislation needs to be there to hammer companies or individuals that abuse this information for things such as denying healthcare claims or denying access to jobs or whatever because of information that they've collected. So whereas I think stuff needs to be more open and more transparent, I think the corollary needs to be true, that when you take this information that is freely being shared and you aggregate it and then you do something like you sell it or you profit from it or you use it to deny someone the right of something, that's where the harm comes in, and that's where the legislation and the debate should focus is, what do you do with these companies in places that are using this information in an abusive manner, not what do you do to the companies that are exchanging information for whatever purposes.
To put a wrinkle in that, what if I go on Facebook and I work for a company that has a drug for the treatment of multiple sclerosis? I don't. This is an example.
Okay, just for change. Okay.
So now I hire a social network analysis person. I remember reading a few years ago that there was one city, I can't remember where it was, but there was the split between the voters, there was about a 10% undecided. The Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention spent something like millions of dollars on this 10% of undecided voters. They basically came down and they could have taken every registered voter that was undecided out to a $285 dinner for the amount they spent on television advertising. So what if I wanted to do focused advertising and I paid a social network analyst to go on Facebook, to go to one of the Facebook pages for Muscular Dystrophy Association, go through all of the friends list, because they're all public, and then target my advertising on those individuals. Now, it seems like I'm trying to do what I think is good. I'm going to target my advertising just on those, but to those individuals, now instead of just getting broadcast occasional, call your doctor if you have these symptoms, now I'm getting hammered with $200 worth of advertising focused on me instead of everybody out there. Have my rights been, at what point is this advertising onslaught is now directed, I got more emails in my inbox, I've got more letters, magazines coming to my mailbox, probably attention I don't want, but no laws have been broken. And at what point?
And actually you might feel honored that people are paying such attention to you.
But if you don't.
Gratified. If you don't, you're...
See, I think that becomes, for a lot of people, is the issue. It's okay to aggregate the information, but what penalty is there to you if your system is hacked into? What do you do, pay a fine? Or worst case, just do a notification. Then what do I do? I have now lost something. And you didn't protect the data because your system, while state-of-the-art last year, is not state-of-the-art this year. And you've lost it. Now then, is that if we go with the idea that there is no data that's personal, then there is no law broken. You know, you go to that point, then that takes it away. If you don't, then you go back and say, at what point is the aggregate there? You know, we say I'm not denied health insurance because I have a gene that, you know, is predisposed towards that, but if I get it because you lost your database and I am hurt, and I may not even know it.
I think Captain Longley was on the right track, that you have to go to the end of the chain because we have so little control over the things that are happening at the other end, that the solution is that you can't deny insurance coverage based on any information that you acquire that is outside of what the patient wants to give you. So that sort of, you have to cut it off at some point, and I don't think we're going to cut it off at the point where people are aggregating. That's happening.
Well, insurance companies today use Intel, as many other companies do, to statistically back their claim rate policy. They now track prescriptions and in areas. And you have a higher likelihood of a certain disease if your prescription writing's bad. So there's a lot of information other than personal information that is being used for marketing, quite frankly. That's what I said earlier about is it being used from a marketing standpoint. Philosophically, I think everybody wants to have their own things kept private. Just, I think we're all born that way. We like that. The truth of the matter is that no matter what we say and how we say it, the economy drives greater and greater and greater intel from statistical analysis.
Yeah,
And if you took the profit motive out of information gathering, you wouldn't have any information gathering.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't take the profit out of the economy or else we have nothing. So one is driving the other in a natural course of action.
Well, I think also that there may be an attribute of whether it's something that's under your control or something that's out of your control. A lot of the laws that we have that prevent discrimination are based on things that we believe are out of your control, your race, your religion, things like that. Other things where we accept the fact that companies can look at your credit score because we sort of believe that one, your financial condition is partially or largely your fault, and your ability to repay a debt is a fair criterion of whether you should be issued new debt. And so society has accepted that aggregated credit score as something that's real and acceptable. While your medical records, because we have that feeling that I really didn't do it, except in the case where you're out eating fatty foods, and so that's where we're starting to cross over. What's in my control, what's out of my control.
Okay.
But great points being raised.